Hey, beautiful people. Logan here with Presently Impermanent. And in this video, we're going to be covering the root chakra. This is based off of the Hindu chakra system. If you look deeply into chakral systems, there are various different systems throughout the world. There was a Native American Cherokee system, there's the Hindu system, there's tons of different systems. Um, from the beginning of my studies with chakra, I started with the Hindu system. And this is the one that most people, especially in like spiritual communities or like yogis, talk about the most. But it's also just a very good starting point in order to understand energy centers in the body. If you understand the chakras, they're essentially going to allow you to understand your body more. And when you can understand your body more, you can process emotions more freely, you can express yourself more. So essentially, what I've found with having conversations with different body workers and stuff, we've been trying to identify ways to be able to help people understand their bodies more, to the point where, like, for example, if someone's very angry and they're storing a lot of anger, it will be usually stored in their liver. And there's certain ways that you can release this if you understand your body properly. And so um, we were trying to identify what's going to be the best way to teach people how to process their emotions better by first understanding their body more, because some people, they can't even feel anything. I'll ask them to try and feel an emotion, and it's like nothing's there. It's like darkness, right? So we're going to start with the root chakra. The root chakra resides in the base of the spine. It's between the anus and the genitals. So some people call it the taint, right? So it's the region between the anus and the genitals. And essentially, what you want to do, if you're watching right now, if you've ever heard of a Kegel exercise, it's essentially when you squeeze the pelvic floor muscles. Think of you going to the bathroom, you're going pee, and you want to stop the pee. What kind of muscles do you use? So you squeeze, right? You're squeezing internally. When you activate that, you'll be able to feel the energy center. That's not actually going to activate the energy center, but it's going to allow you to understand the region. Okay. So um, the Hindu name for the root chakra is the English way of how we say things. It's Muladhara, and you don't need to memorize this stuff. It doesn't matter. But Mul means base, and Adara means support, right? So the most important thing here is the root chakra is your base. This is what connects you, right? So even if you're doing a meditation practice and you're working on the chakras, I usually do it sitting down. If you're sitting down, you are sitting on your base, right? And so it's the bottom up here, the crown chakra, it's the top, right? And then you have everything in between. So the base is really important. It's just like your feet. If you don't have your feet, if your feet are cut off, you can't really stand, right? And so this is really important for security, and not security in the sense of like a security guard, right? Like protection. It's security in the sense of feeling grounded, being able to be calm in reality. It's the ultimate form of presence, right? And for me, most of my life, I was spent in these three: the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra, very up here in my head, right? And my biggest pivot that I've had to make, especially like if you're someone who deals with ADHD or is very mind oriented, coming down into being more grounded, slower, present, patient is going to be very challenging. But it's the thing that will actually take all of the information up here that you're learning, especially if you have a lot of spiritual practices, and it will allow you to take it down and actually move forward with it in your life. If you've ever seen someone who's extremely spiritual to the point where they're going and doing a bunch of plant medicine ceremonies, and they come out and they're talking all soft, and I want to invite you to look deeper into your soul. It's very it's very up here, right? It's like a connection to the light. They feel like it feels like they're more connected to God, but they're not, because it's not grounded. Like in our reality, when you're really grounded and you're like going through the day to day, A grounded person is able to articulate things that are very more complicated, but they can do it in a way that like people understand. That's the way to look at it. So, a couple of ways that you can start to become more secure in this chakra. One, what you can do when you're meditating, if you sit down and you just set an intention that you're going to work on your root chakra. One of the ways that you can work on this is through color. So, the Hindu system says that the root chakra is red. And so what you can do is with your eyes closed, you can squeeze that area to feel into it, and you can even hold it. If you hold it, it will allow you to feel it more. And you just hold the pelvic floor, and then when you close your eyes, you just focus on the color red. When you first start doing this, you're probably not going to see any color. Some people who are on the more creative side, they can see color right away. Doesn't matter if you can't see it or you can. The most important thing is to start focusing on red. Even if you just see the words red written, that's fine. Eventually, if you practice that enough, it will turn red. And then from there, you can actually sit into it and you can feel the color red here, or you can see it. So the color is really just a way to be able to associate the chakra, right? So red, the big attribute of being grounded is patience. So this is probably the chakra I've had to work on the most, is just standing and being rooted into reality. Think of it like if you're meditating, you are a tree that's actually, the roots are going into the ground and you're connected to the ground. In a very big tree, it can't get moved in a storm. So it has such strong roots and such a strong connection to the ground. Everything in the world can be trying to destroy the top layer, but because the roots are so strong, there's no way that that tree's getting ripped out. That is what it means to be really deep embodied in the root chakra. The element it's associated with is earth, of course. So practices, we'll talk about this in a second, but very good practices for chakras based on their element are like, if you think about the earth, it's the ground, right? So what would you want to do in order to become more connected to the ground? Walk around barefoot. There's sounds that you can make. Essentially, the sounds are frequencies that come out of your vocal cords. Lam. So you can chant Lam, and you don't have to do it a specific way. You just practice it, and eventually you'll get into a groove of how it sounds. But this sound can help you focus. So you can associate with the color red. You can do these chants while you're also associating with the color red. And it will help you connect to it more. Essentially, all of this is like, if you don't believe, oh yeah, the red is creating the root chakra. It's not that. It's you're creating associations for your intention. So if you're intending to work on this and you understand it from a level of like, oh, my life right now is pretty chaotic, I want to be more grounded, you work on the root chakra. So that's all it is really. The organs associated with this, you have your bones, skeletal structure, coccyx nerve, coccygeal nerve plexus down here, and then the adrenal glands. So if you look at this bones and skeletal structure, this is what holds you up. It's what holds all your organs. It's the base, right? So a couple of things about this, how you carry yourself in the world. So just based off of the bones and the structure, when you're more aligned with your root chakra, you're going to carry yourself differently. Have you ever met someone who's like extremely neurotic, and when they're talking, just their head's going all over the place? Oh, yeah, I lost my cat one day, and you can't really sit with them because it's hard to. I've met a lot of very neurotic people. They're fun to be around because they're like, um, they're like a golden retriever that just ate a bunch of caffeine. It's fun to watch, but it can be tiring. And so it's how you carry yourself, carrying yourself with all of your bones, how you support your body, how your posture is as well. If you have very poor posture, you're going to be carrying yourself differently. Um, some issues that can come up for people, this is all related. A lot of working on this is actually working on the unconscious subconscious mind. So unconscious security issues, security in self, security around other people. Can you trust people? Can you trust yourself? If you've met someone who's like really worried about money and in their future, it's because they're not grounded in the present. When someone's really grounded in the present, they're not overly analyzing the past or the future. And they have a deep knowing that they're going to be secure. And it's a deep feeling that they already are secure. Nothing needs to change. It's a really freeing experience, and it's something I have to work on all the time. I'm still working on it. Um, if it's overactive, usually you're going to feel strained and you're going to have hyperactive behavior. A lot of people, like I used to have ADHD. The more that I focused on grounding myself with meditation practices and breathing, the more the ADHD went away. And I stopped being so hyperactive. And now I can do work where I'm not trying to force things to happen. Before I was so fidgety and like couldn't sit in my chair very well. I still am quite fidgety as a person, but the more I've grounded, the more I've just been calm. And it's if you want to be a really well-rounded person, becoming calm in chaotic scenarios is the biggest challenge. And when you find people who are really tapped in here, they're just so smooth when with anything that happens. It feels like there's no chaos whatsoever. The animal associated with this is pretty fun. It's the elephant, and the elephant is very direct. In Africa, if an elephant's coming at you, it's like, oh, there's an elephant coming at me. I need to get out of the way. It's just super direct. You can feel the ground shake. The elephant also takes up so much space with its feet. Massive. I don't even know what you call them. Not paws. Massive legs. And the elephant is charging forward its life force, right? Like when an elephant is moving forward, you get out of the way. And if you're the elephant, it's like, hey, you get out of my way. I'm I'm connected to the ground. I'm moving forward. And when you have a bunch of elephants together, you better take off, right? The underactive aspect of this is sloth and laziness. So if your root chakra is underactive, you're just not going to get stuff done. You're going to be sitting on the couch all the time eating Cheetos. And so essentially, how can we balance someone who's overactive and balance someone who's underactive so that we can get to a state of equilibrium? And essentially, if you balance the root chakra, it's going to allow you to balance a bunch of other chakras. With the chakral system, it's never a one size fits all. If I go to a Reiki practitioner, which are people who work with chakras, on any given day, like I could have one chakra out of balance, and then I go to them the next week, and if I worked on it properly, a new chakra could potentially shift depending on what's going on in my life. But what we're looking for is to try and get balance in all of these things. And if you're balanced in all of them, life it just works much more efficiently, and you're living through a flow. So a couple things for the root chakra. One, grounding practices. When you look at grounding, grounding is essentially taking your socks off and being able to walk barefoot, right? If you're walking on concrete, it's going to be different than walking on sand or walking on dirt or walking on grass. Essentially, what grounding is, the word grounding is the same word that's used with the vocation of like electrical equipment. An electrician, right? They have to ground the energy that comes from the main input, right? So PG&E, for example, they have to make sure that the energy is grounded. If the energy is not grounded and you're using a device or you're going to plug something in, boom, it'll explode. So grounding is essentially taking the energy and making sure that there's not too much in one place. And so it works the same with the Earth's surface. The Earth has a ton of energy. And actually, when you step on the Earth's surface barefoot, it will take the electricity from your body and it will ground it for you. And there's an exchange that happens. I tried this once. I had very inflamed rear delts, and I laid on my grass in the backyard and I fell asleep for just 10 minutes. And when I woke up, the inflammation was completely gone. And I had no intention of trying that. So there was nothing in my mind saying like, oh, this is going to work. I just laid down, had a bunch of inflammation, and then got up and I realized the inflammation was gone all day and it didn't come back. So grounding, very important. Presence practices. We're going to talk a lot more about what you can do for this in this channel. But one, meditation daily. I recommend at least 30 minutes in silence. If you're brand new and you're a beginner, do something like Headspace, where you just do a 10-minute and it guides you, and you work your way up to 30 minutes. If you can do 30 minutes every morning, your day is going to be completely different, and your life, as you compound and keep showing up for yourself, will be completely different because you'll be a lot more present. The other thing is breathing. So your breath throughout your day and during your meditation practice, if you just focus on breathing between the nostrils and observing it, just observing it in the sense of, oh, that was a big breath or is a small breath, not trying to control anything. You just watch the breath. It came in through the left nostril or the right nostril or both. It came out of both nostrils. That's it. You just focus on the breath. You will become more grounded instantly. Lamb, we talked about this before. Lamb. You can use that in your practice. Something really big for me that I learned regarding becoming more grounded, because I did have a hyperactive mind. Caffeine is a no-go for me. And for anyone who's on the more hyperactive side, if you struggle with being a grounded person, I recommend removing all caffeine. Tea, cacao, coffee. If you do this for a month, you'll not want to go back. Now, when I have some cacao, if I have a whole cacao bar, which I used to have sometimes one or two a day, just to like maintain the hyperactivity, if I have a whole bar, I will feel sick and I'll pretty much like almost be bedridden. I'll just feel terrible the rest of the day. So removing caffeine, if you're not a grounded person, huge. And even if you are a grounded person, you'll become more grounded if you remove it. The color red, you can focus on that. And an affirmation you can use is, I am safe. This is security. I'm safe in myself. I am safe here. If you have any form of anxiety, which I think most people have some form of social anxiety, because people are scary, right? You just say, I'm safe. Whenever you walk into a new room or an environment, or you're in a position where you just don't feel safe, you can just keep saying, I'm safe in myself. And essentially what that does is it calms you and it allows you to trust yourself more. And also it affirms, like, most of the time nothing bad ever happens to us. I know I've had a couple scenarios, like when I lived in Colombia, I almost got robbed, but I always got out of it without a scratch on me. And that built more trust in myself. And I had a little bit of skittishness from that, but the more I practice, like, I'm safe, I'm okay, nothing bad's going to happen to me. When you keep saying that and nothing bad happens to you, you start to develop a new belief that the world's not out to get you. And that's just being more grounded. So that's it for this video. We will cover the sacral chakra tomorrow. And if you guys want to work more deeply on this, want to learn how to process your emotions more, have more joy in your life, be able to be more present, more mindful, I've got some links below if you want to check that out. And I will see you tomorrow.